Fisher, and welcome to the Blue Curtain series. I have the wonderful pleasure of welcoming Mr. Bruce Collier today. Thank you so much for joining us, Bruce.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and Bruce has joined us here at Emerald Coast Theater many times, has graced our stage with many different iterations of some of the shows that he's written personally and also some of the shows that we've produced ourselves. Always a stellar performance, captivating storyteller, and so we're just thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you.
One of my first questions I wanted to ask you is, you weren't always just an actor or just a performer. You actually have quite a varied body of work in your professional life. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done in your life.
Well, my undergraduate degree from Wright State University in Ohio is in theater. And I did theater my last 2 years in high school and got a degree in it at Wright State and tried to act professionally, but I did a lot of community theater and some university theater, but I didn't really think I could make a living, so I moved to New York in 1981 to become a writer. And I had in fact written a play, a 2-act play called Tarts, which was done while I was in New York in Greenwich Village, and I performed in it as well as having written it. And then I didn't do theater for 14 years. I went to law school in New Orleans at Tulane Law School, got a law degree, practiced law as a public defender for 2.5 years, and came to Florida with the intention of practicing law, ended up not doing that, and drifted into journalism. I volunteered to write articles for the Defuniak Herald Beach Breeze, which is based in Defuniak Springs, and I started out as a stringer, and within, I can't remember how many years, I was a reporter, assistant editor, and then editor, and I've been editor since 2009. So, and over that time I got back into theater. I worked at the Seaside Rep and started working here at Emerald Coast in, 2017, I think my first show was here.
I think so, yeah.
So, yeah, I've done all those different things. I've also tended bar, been a department store Santa Claus, taught elocution to teenage girls, and was a field hand.
Wow.
So, and that's what I can remember.
That's what you can remember. Yes, and I can vouch for the department store Santa, looking very, very authentic, because we actually just finished a photo shoot with you and my daughter Zoe, who's going to be in Miracle on 34th Street, starting at the very end of November, beginning of the Christmas season. So that is something we're definitely looking forward to. And speaking of that also, I wanted to ask you, you really do have quite a rich legacy of writing. And when you wrote about this most recent one-man show that you created, you said it was an accidental trilogy. And I found that really interesting. So will you tell us a little bit about the 3 shows that you've written and how it was an accidental trilogy?
Well, years ago I wrote a one-man show for myself called Winston Churchill Through the Storm, and that was after years and years of reading about Churchill, and I decided that I looked enough like him that I could do the show, and I wanted to do it. So that was the first show, and I ran that one for several years here at the festival and also in the Storyteller series. And then I got the idea that I could also do FDR, because I had done him locally, a very brief thing that I had written years ago. So I thought if I could just do Joseph Stalin, I could do the big 3 and do a play about Yalta. And the upshot of that was my play 3 Palaces at Yalta, which you did here for me. You staged it here last year, or earlier this year actually, beginning of the year. And I thought, I got 1, I've got 2, there's more to this, so I decided I would write a play with just Churchill and Stalin to round out the trilogy, and that's what The Fall of April is.
Yes. And we are looking forward to that coming up next January. Thank you.
January 11th.
January 11th, yes. And that's going to be really, really spectacular, I think, to see the fruition of those stories come together.
Now, whether I could actually get up and start 3 Palaces at Yalta is the first in time. Fall of April is the second, and Winston Churchill Through the Storm is actually chronologically the order they would be in.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if I could ever do them all in one festival or not, but maybe I will.
That would be quite a task.
Yes.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, speaking of roles of performing, what are some of your most memorable roles that you've had in your career?
Well, aside from Winston, Stalin, and FDR, I think maybe my favorite role I did here was either Ebenezer Scrooge, which was last Christmas, or Lionel Percy, which was the first show I did here, called Bakersfield Mist. I had my old friend Teens Blackburn. She and I had a wonderful time doing that show.
Yes.
I played Claudius in Hamlet twice. That was a favorite role. I have also played in, I think my favorite Shakespeare was Claudius in Hamlet, and I also did the Duke of Buckingham in Richard III, which was a favorite of mine. And right offhand, I'm trying to think. Max in Harold Pinter's play, The Homecoming, and George in Edward Albee's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Those are probably my top choices.
All very solid, meaty characters. So at the end of my interviews, I like to do what I call a rapid five questions. And so I hope that you're prepared for this. You did your mental exercises today.
I did.
So first question, where is a place that inspires you? And that can be anywhere in the world or anywhere in your backyard.
Okay. Paris, New York, and what my wife calls my thoughtful spot, which is a little place she fixed up in a corner of our bedroom with a chair and a lamp and a bookshelf with all my books of all the shows I'm working on. And I go in there and I'm left undisturbed for as long as I need to be.
Oh.
That's probably the most fruitful place on earth for me.
That sounds divine. That's amazing. Favorite word?
Hogwash.
That's a good one. Favorite sound?
My wife and my daughter laughing hysterically. They both have big laughs, especially our daughter.
Yes, it's joyful.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now this is a funny question because I almost know the answer. What profession would you pursue if you did not have a career in theater? But I think we know the answer to that already.
What would that be?
Lawyer / field hand / editor /
jazz musician.
Jazz musician, okay.
I play trumpet. Not many people know it, except the people at the church where I play on Sundays. But yeah, I would be a jazz musician, and I'd want a cool nickname.
I think that there's still hope for that. I can see that happening, absolutely. Last question. When you get to heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, I would like to hear God and two other people say it. Welcome home, son.
Oh, I hope we all hear that. And thank you, Bruce. That was beautiful. And thank you for joining us today for the Blue Curtain. And thank you, Bruce. Please don't miss Bruce's upcoming final show of the trilogy on January 11th. And also, you definitely don't want to miss Bruce in A Miracle on 34th Street in our Christmas season during the month of December. Thank you again.